In a remote corner of the Appalachian woods, where ancient pine trees stood like silent judges, the wind carried the stench of damp earth, rust, and something far more rotten: abuse masquerading as law. A black woman stood handcuffed to a tree, the cold bite of rusted steel digging into her wrists. Blood ran from her temple, tracing a path down her neck, soaking the torn collar of her shirt. Her breathing was shallow but steady, her gaze locked on the sun breaking through the canopy above. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She didn't blink. Garrett Cole, a white officer with a square jaw and a thirst for control, paced in front of her like a predator. "What are you, huh?" he growled. "A car thief? Some con artist?" His boots slammed against the base of the tree, jarring the trunk. A branch snapped loose and fell. She didn't flinch. Dylan, the younger officer, thin and quiet, dug through her belongings with mechanical efficiency. Phone's dead. No ID. Empty wallet. He looked up. "It's like she doesn't exist." Cole grinned. "Oh, she exists. Just not in any system that matters." He stepped closer, his face inches from hers. "Look at me." She didn't. He lifted his phone, recording. "Get a good look, boys. This is what passes for innocent these days. Black, arrogant, silent." He turned to Dylan. "These types always think silence is power." A truck rolled by. The driver, dark-skinned and cautious, slowed. "Everything all right, officer?" he asked. Dylan didn't hesitate. "Keep driving unless you want to be next." The driver nodded quickly, but his eyes lingered in the mirror, memorizing what he'd seen: a woman, bleeding, bound, and silent. The image seared into him. Back at the scene, Cole tightened the cuffs and activated his body cam. His voice shifted from aggression to protocol. Suspect resisted. Required restraint to prevent escalation. Clean, controlled, rehearsed. Nothing in the recording showed the boot, the taunts, or the sick pleasure in his voice earlier. Dylan found another wallet under the passenger seat, empty again. "You think she'd dump her ID on purpose?" he asked. Cole shrugged. "She doesn't need one where she's going." He glanced at the woman. "Call in, but wait until we're done here." But Dylan didn't move. Something about the woman's eyes, it wasn't defiance. It was something worse. Calm. Knowing. He looked away. "She hasn't said a word," Dylan muttered. Cole scoffed. "Because she's hiding something?" Then she finally moved. Just her lips. Slowly, as if tearing each word from deep within, she whispered, "You think tying me up means this is over?" Cole froze. The confidence in her tone unsettled him. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact point 3 miles away. At the precinct, Lieutenant Harris reviewed incoming reports when Dylan walked in with an evidence bag. Through the glass of the holding cell, Harris spotted the woman, upright, silent, still bleeding. Something about her felt familiar. Harris pulled out an old conference folder from a drawer. On page 8, a photo of federal advisors at a Homeland Security symposium. One face stood out. Same eyes, same calm, same curls pulled back with quiet discipline. Harris's voice dropped. "I saw her at the Crisis Response Summit. She's not just some civilian. She's federal." Dylan's face paled. She didn't say a word. No ID, no badge. "She didn't need to," Harris replied. "She just watched. Like someone letting you dig your own grave." Cole, unaware, was still in the hallway, smirking, gloves off. "You people always believe anyone with a blazer and a speech is important," he told Harris. "She's a nobody." But Harris wasn't so sure anymore. In the cell, the woman, Maureen Blake, sat in silence. Her wrists bruised, her shirt bloodied. Her eyes, still fixed on the wall, blinked slowly, not with fear, but with calculation. Later that night, the precinct server reported a video sync failure. One technician found a 19-second corrupted clip on a backup drive. Cole grabbing Maureen by the hair, whispering, "If you survive tonight, you're lucky." The technician labeled it tree. He didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Because in the deepest part of him, he knew that clip, just 19 seconds long, was going to burn the entire house down. And Maureen Blake? She hadn't come to be arrested. She had come to watch who would fall first. The impound lot was quiet when the night guard opened Maureen Blake's vehicle. Beneath the passenger seat, he found something odd: a rubberized dummy phone and a silver access card etched with the words DIO Level 2 authorization. His breath caught. No civilian carried this. He didn't report it yet. Instead, he flagged the file, Vehicle 45, hold until federal clearance. The next morning, a second employee inspecting the car located a blinking tracker tucked behind the rear panel. He pocketed it, his instinct screaming. This woman wasn't who they said she was. Meanwhile, a 30-second video, grainy, filmed from a nearby cabin, hit the internet. Morin, cuffed to a tree, bloodied and silent, with Officer Cole screaming in her face. Within 4 hours, it had over 50,000 shares. The hashtag who was she surged across every platform. Commenters posted, "Is this America?" Others placed her image next to photos of Jim Crow lynchings. It never ended, one user wrote. It just evolved. By evening, every major outlet had aired the clip. The frame of Morin's chin tilted upward, eyes locked on sunlight, filtering through the leaves, became iconic. Profile pictures changed globally. "I don't need her name," one tweet read. "I saw what they did. That's enough." At midnight, an armored SUV rolled into the precinct. From it stepped a tall black woman, mid-40s, without a badge, but with authority so palpable that silence followed her like a cloak. She handed a card to the stunned officer on duty, Adjunct Director, Federal Anti-Compulsion Unit. She didn't ask permission. She gave no warnings. She walked straight toward the isolation cell. Behind a glass wall, Morin Blake sat upright, wrists bruised, hair matted, posture like iron. The woman paused briefly, then spoke only once. "It's time." At 1:03 a.m., Morin's sealed file was decrypted. It read, Morin Blake, Major Commander, Strategic Operations, Federal Anti-Compulsion Unit, Clearance, Level 5, the deployments, 6 combat zones. Civilian extractions, 4. Black Site Authority, active. The silence that followed was not from awe, but terror. No one had known. And now, everything they'd done to her was being reviewed by federal oversight in real time. Morin left the cell without escort. Her blood was dry, but her presence reshaped the room. No orders, no press. Just a statement, spoken to the highest-ranking officer present. Silence is no longer an excuse for violence. That phrase triggered a national audit. Not to defend her, but to shield the government from the fallout. The wildfire began. Law student Layla Mendez posted that Cole once dragged her from class, falsely accusing her of fraud. Marley from Texas, Rosalind in Florida, Kevin in Montana, all emerged. Hashtag break the silence exploded. "He humiliated me," one wrote. "But I stayed quiet. Not anymore." Then came the headlines. Black woman tied to tree by police. Turns out she's a federal commander. Public outrage became a movement. Universities held panels. Legal networks filed motions. Protesters held signs. If she hadn't spoken, who would have survived? On a morning talk show, Cole remained defiant. "No ID. No cooperation. Suspicious behavior. I did my job." His arrogance backfired. Even conservative hosts flinched. His voice was no longer law. It was proof of rot. The Veterans Alliance confirmed it. Morin trained elite anti-terror units. Her service record made Cole's suspicious and unregistered claim laughable. She wasn't a nobody. She was the kind of person you called when everything else failed. That a congresswoman asked, "If this can happen to a commander in daylight, what hope does a civilian have?" No one answered. Cole was arrested at the Internal Affairs building, screaming, "Who's going to protect you when the riots start?" No one replied. A young officer recorded silently, because stories like this needed to be witnessed. News outlets showed the clip again. Cole, once proud, now cuffed. Headline: Officer charged after assaulting federal agent. Morin saw the footage. She didn't cheer, just the faintest smile of someone who understood that real change didn't come from one man falling, but from systems finally being forced to reckon with the truth. That Cole's trial brought 7 charges: torture, abuse of authority, racial targeting. For once, there was no shield of protocol, no union-funded escape hatch. Morin returned to the classroom, not as a hero, as a witness. One day, a student asked her, "Is justice about speaking up?" She answered softly, Justice isn't about who talks. It's about who listens and who dares to repeat what should never happen again. Her image entered textbooks, not as a victim, but as a question. The tree still stands. Locals placed white stones around it. No plaque, just a pencil-written phrase carved on the bark, where silence was complicit. One day, a child walking by asked, "Why the stones?" Her mother said, "Because someone was hurt here, and forgetting would hurt her again." Years later, that same girl wrote in a journal, "She wasn't broken. She reminded the world not to look away."